Good morning and welcome to the annual Solita Summit of 2023. Each year we cover a new and relevant topic, and the topic for this year is Automate Everything? Emphasis on the question mark. I am your host, Melissa Eskin, and by day I'm an analytics consultant at Solita DK, helping customers with their data problems. And by night I'm a vigilante crime fighter. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Antti Merilehto.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Antti Merilehto. I work with artificial intelligence and especially on how it impacts the way we work.
Yes. I want to wish the warmest of welcomes to our friends and audience online and here in the studio with us. I hope you're comfortable. I hope you have plenty of coffee and snacks. We're being joined by people all over the world, so some of you might be joining in your jammies. And to that I say, jealous. And without further ado, we should start with our wonderful day. Thank you.
Today, our theme is all about exploring automation. Low-code platforms and AI-assisted development tools are rapidly accelerating the creation of applications, creating new opportunities for organizations to innovate and grow. Automation is the hottest word on everyone's lips right now. How do we know?
We know because we are Solita. Solita is a fast-growing digital transformation company driven by data and human insight. We create culture, services, and tech solutions that help us reinvent businesses and help society for the better. Our services range from strategic consulting to service design, digital development, data, AI and analytics, and managed cloud services. Established all the way back in 1996, Solita employs over 1,700 digital business specialists from Sweden, Estonia, Germany, Denmark, Belgium, and what was the last one? Oh yeah, Finland. Duh. We are here to listen to some of the brightest minds talk about automation in their respective industries. Now, have you ever wondered what the CIO and Executive Board member of Finnair, a lead digital transformation architect from Messe Düsseldorf, and an AI business lead from Microsoft have in common? Well, I know I have, and it keeps me up at night. Who will be the future's heroes and beneficiaries when low-code platforms and AI-assisted development expand the boundaries of application development? How do organizations navigate the complicated landscape of automation advancements while keeping its people first? Is the A in AI still valid when large language models such as ChatGPT sound so very convincing and seem to have such human responses to the questions we greedily prompted to answer, like a child poking a stick at an anthill? How many times will we mention ChatGPT during the day successfully? Let's talk about it.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the speakers of this event. Lead in the new era of AI. Key trends and considerations for business to succeed. Xiaopeng Li, AI business lead, Microsoft Western Europe. Low code is not just for apps. Efficient integration development with the help of low code at Messe Düsseldorf. Danny Brünker, lead architect, digital transformation. What does the cooperation between a human and a machine look like now and in the future? Discussing about the topic, Antti Kleemola, CIO and Executive Board member, Finnair, and Marko Taipale, design lead, Solita. Everybody who attends has the possibility to ask questions from the speakers, and I warmly encourage you to ask questions, because the total value of what we're going to have out of today's event is what you understand more, what you know more. So do ask questions, and me and Melissa will be sure to ask those questions from our today's speakers.
Yes. So before we get started with the presentations, please submit your questions to the chat, and we will be going over them as the presentations are going, and we'll pick some questions that we will then ask the speaker in a short Q&A session after their presentation. And also, we will not only be asking them questions, we will also have questions for you based on their presentations. So at the end or during their speak, you'll also see a poll question, which I will be asking you, and submit your answers, and then we will kind of go over those answers together. And yes.
We're good to go.
I suppose we are.
It's my pleasure to welcome our first speaker on the topic, Lead in the New Era of AI, key trends and considerations for business to succeed. Xiaopeng Li, AI Business Lead, Microsoft Western Europe, welcome.
Thank you so much, our fantastic host, Antti and Melissa. Such a pleasure to be here. Today, we will be exploring some of the key trends and considerations when it comes to adopting AI. I will start by sharing some trends which are really shaping the AI industry right now, and then share a few key considerations for organizations to think about when it comes to scaling AI. I have only 20 minutes, so let's dive right in. So the first trend I want to talk about is really around productivity. We all know about the productivity revolutions triggered by steam, by electricity, and by the internet. And today, I believe we're starting to see a new paradigm shift, and that's powered by AI. And let me explain. If you do not live in a cave, you probably have seen, have tried, have read about ChatGPT. That's the first time we mentioned ChatGPT in the presentation, by the way, Melissa. It's one of the most intelligent chatbots we have on this planet. And what makes it unique is not the chatbot itself, not the simple user interface. It's the fact that this application is powered by one of the largest language models on this planet. And that matters because large language models, they bring so much intelligence into applications like ChatGPT. People are already using ChatGPT for a variety of tasks, from copywriting to code documentation, and they're gaining a lot of productivity benefits from such application. And it's not only in ChatGPT. Let me mention another example around Bing Chat. For years, Bing has been an underdog, but that has changed, when it comes to internet search since the launch of the new Bing. With Bing Chat, you can have a similar experience just like ChatGPT. You can have natural language conversation. You can ask questions. You can provide inquiries. You can get answers in natural language back to you. What makes Bing Chat unique is that when you ask questions, actually it does an internet search real time behind the scene, and then surface back to you a summarized answer to you with a list of references for you to go deeper and validate. And that's really important because now internet search has become so much more productive. So much more productive. You no longer have to read the top 3 or 10 articles from the search. You can get the summarized answer right away. And this is not only happening in the text space, it's also happening in the visual space. So every picture on this slide is actually created by an AI model called Stable Diffusion, which is developed by Stability AI. So it's an AI model that turns natural language into images. You can actually decide on the content, the style, the lighting, even the angle of the images, and that's going to be taken care of by the AI model. You just need to describe your requirements in natural language. So this is going to be massive for creativity professionals because they no longer need to start from scratch. So if you are over 30 years old, like myself, you probably remember Clippy. Some people say Clippy is the father or the grandfather for many of the AI assistants we have today. While Clippy was cute, but not entirely a success when it comes to increasing our productivity. But now, you will see a new generation of Clippies which are coming to us, and they're called co-pilots. So today, let me welcome you into this new era of AI co-pilots, where AI is going to become the right hand for every role and every profession. With AI Copilot, we as humans, we're relieved from repetitive and mundane tasks, so we can actually focusing on solving problems using our creativity and strategic thinking. Let me give you some examples to make it real. The first one I want to talk about is around GitHub Copilot. I know we have a lot of developers in the audience, so many of you probably have used this already or at least read about it. So think about GitHub Copilot as the auto-completion for developers, for programming. But in fact, it can do more. So, from documentation to creating SQL queries, GitHub Copilot is already increasing developer productivities at scale. In fact, many of my colleagues at Microsoft on the engineering side, they are already writing up to 50% of their code on a daily basis with GitHub Copilot. And that's just amazing. And it's not only Microsoft. Another example is Duolingo, one of the most popular language learning apps. And as you can see from this slide, by adopting GitHub Copilot, they actually, as an organization, have increased their developer productivity by 25%. And that's a lot because right now we're in this talent market where every software developer matters, and increasing their productivity helps you become more profitable as a company. And also, we have seen 70% of pull requests, at Duolingo by adopting GitHub Copilot, and that's again massive because that's a key metric to really measure the velocity of development. So it's not only for developers. Actually, Copilot is coming to all of us. So a couple of weeks ago, we have launched Microsoft 365 Copilot. By combining large language models with enterprise data within your organization, Microsoft 365 Copilot allows you to chat with your own internal knowledge base, from documentation to presentation, to calendar to context, etc. You can use your natural language to find relevant information and retrieve them within your organization just by chatting, with the business chat functionality, very similar to ChatGPT. And let me give you one particular feature which I love. So I have a lot of meetings. Quite often, I'm the host of the meetings, and that means I need to take responsibility of recapping the meeting, summarizing the meeting, and defining action items. And I can confidently say that taking meeting notes is one of the least favorite things of mine. So now, with Copilot in Microsoft Teams, I'm able to use AI to automatically transcribe the meeting, summarize the meeting. Think about a 2-hour meeting into a few paragraphs in text, and that's so much easier to recap. And not only summarizing the meeting, but also giving you a list of conclusions you have concluded during the meeting, but also a list of action items, even assigned to the right person based on the discussion within the meeting. And that's massive. It's already making me and my colleagues more productive at Microsoft, and this is coming to you as well. So the vision is really we are going to bring Copilot to every profession. I already mentioned Copilot for developers, Copilot for knowledge workers, but now we're bringing Copilot to also security professionals, sales marketing professionals, etc. That's the first trend around productivity. Let me now talk about the second trend. So you might wonder, applications are getting smarter, we're getting more productive, but what is happening behind the scene? So, well, it's actually foundation models. They are actually the game changers, behind the scene. So traditionally speaking, AI models tend to be very narrow, well-defined. They can only do one thing. But now with foundation models, they can actually become more versatile. They bring more broader intelligence to us, by serving multiple use cases. So let me define foundation models. They're essentially, large AI models pre-trained with massive amount of data. And it matters, the size matters in this case because, foundation models, they actually, support multiple use cases that are more versatile. And if you look at, the graph on the right side, foundation models, they have been, growing exponentially in size, from the first GPT with just over 100 million parameters to the latest version with billions of parameters. They are significantly increasing their size, but also capabilities. And that's, of course, enabling more intelligent applications that we will benefit from as humans. Let's take Microsoft as one example. Obviously, I'm biased. I work for Microsoft, so let me take this. So at Microsoft, we have been building foundation models, from Microsoft Research, but also in our partnership with OpenAI. You have heard a lot about GPT, and those are models, around the natural language understanding and generation. But we also have models like, Florence from Microsoft Research, which is the state-of-the-art computer vision model. Really, really, impressive. You should definitely check it out. So when we have those foundation models, we do two things. On one hand, we turn those foundation models into cloud services, so they are widely available by developers like yourself. On the other hand, we infuse the same advanced AI capabilities into different software product services that we're offering, from Bing to LinkedIn, to Outlook, to even Xbox. So I know many of you are developers, so I want to give you another level of details when it comes to the cloud AI services. So let's zoom in on Azure OpenAI services. So, in brief, Azure OpenAI service turns large language models into cloud AI services, so you can use them as simply as using any API. The use cases are really endless, but let me just highlight a few, key capabilities here. So together with OpenAI, we have made several models, available already in the cloud, from GPT-4 for text, from ChatGPT in conversation, but also, Codex for code generation, understanding, and DALL-E for generating images, very similar to Stable Diffusion I talked about. So when you have those models, you can do many things. And we already start to see customers, using them for content generation, for example, creating, for copywriting, and also creating images for marketing campaigns. But also doing summarization of internal documents, as well as summarizing the transcription from a call between a customer and a call agent. You can, of course, do code generation and documentation, as I mentioned before, with GitHub Copilot. Last but not least, you can also do semantic search, and that means you can help your customers navigate through a massive catalog of products. But also internally, you can help your employees to find information about IT or HR easily. So they no longer have to navigate the 2,000 folders you have. They can simply ask questions, in natural language, in a so-called, enterprise ChatGPT interface, if you like. Imagine having ChatGPT within your organization. I look forward to that. And now, let me show you a couple of examples on how our customers and partners are already today adopting Azure OpenAI service. First, let me talk about Stratbag. Stratbag is a European leader when it comes to construction. They're operating globally. So by using Azure OpenAI, they're actually assessing and predicting risk for new construction projects. I mean, construction projects are expensive, so they should not fail, right? So it's good for us to have a good understanding on the risk level. So they are able to reach 80% accuracy level with their risk prediction model. Really impressive. Another example is from the United States. CarMax, they are actually the largest car dealer in the States. And they used to spend hours and even days, weeks for their internal folks to actually look through all the reviews and product descriptions for all the car models they have. By the way, it's a lot. They have more than 45,000 car models. But now they are using Azure OpenAI to actually summarize and analyze those reviews, and that would take them from days into hours to save them a lot of time and make their employees more productive, and also relieving them from really boring tasks. To be honest, make them more happy. Another example I want to show is a smaller player. Suzamo is actually a software startup. They're building conversational AI platform. And what they're doing with Azure OpenAI is to actually turn web pages and also documentations into the knowledge base, the brain power for conversational AI bot. You might have used the bot before from your bank, from your retailers. They are not always that smart, right? So it's important for us to increase their knowledge base, and this is exactly doing that with Azure OpenAI. So those are good examples, and I have shown you already two trends: AI-powered productivity revolution and also foundation models. Now, let me spend some time to share a few key considerations for organizations to think about when they are, going into this new era of AI and think about how they can thrive and how they can lead in this new age of AI. So let me start by talking about people. That's what always comes first. And in particular, I think we need to train and skill your people across your entire organization at this new age of AI. If you look at this slide, I'm showing you the typical life cycle for AI and machine learning development. You can see there are different roles involved, from data engineer to machine learning engineer to data scientist to DevOps folks to security experts. Those are important roles for you to train on the topic of AI from a technical perspective, but that's not enough. You also need to see that you have a lot of business partners you need to work closely with when it comes to AI development and deployment. And those can be the owners of business processes from sales to marketing. Those can be infrastructure experts, and those can be your business decision makers or even your executive leaders. It's incredibly important for them to understand the implications of AI as well. So they can, on one hand, provide domain expertise into the development of AI, but also on the other hand, support you when it comes to putting those solutions into production and actually harvest tangible business value from AI solutions. So that's all about people. Second, let's talk about process. So, AI adoption is so much more beyond technology. AI solutions can always, enhance our productivity. And quite often, we use AI solutions to either automate or optimize. And that means, there will be changes to your existing business process. And there might also be implications to certain roles within the organization, which might need to evolve, as you adopt AI at scale. So for example, if you adopt an AI chatbot, your customer agent will be relieved from answering repetitive basic questions from your customers, and they can focus on addressing more complex inquiries. And that makes them more happy, and that makes them an expert than just focusing on mundane tasks. Another example is that with the generative AI solutions, copywriters, they would no longer start from scratch. And now they actually become editors because they can take a draft from AI and then they think about how they can polish and then bring their creativity and marketing expertise into that process. But remember, AI will always be the co-pilot and humans will always be in charge. Because essentially we want to use AI to enhance our productivity, but we are the decision makers, and we will be the one supervising AI and governing the impact of AI within the organization. Last but not least, let's talk about the platform. I work for a platform provider, so I have to talk about this one. But then, of course, I'm not going to sell you anything. What I want to emphasize is that there are two things you need to think about beyond the AI and machine learning platform you will need for your adoption. The first thing is really about laying a solid data foundation. Some people say when it comes to AI and machine learning, crap in, crap out. So it's important for you to have your data organized in a good place. From operational database to analytic solutions like data warehouse to data governance solutions to understand how data is flowing within your organization, you need to have your data in place. Second thing is that with AI solutions becoming more and more powerful, it's more important than ever to think about responsible AI. Not only thinking about responsible AI on the principle level, but also put them into practice. And that means you need to train your employees to understand what is responsible AI, what does it mean for technical roles and business roles, but also have detailed policies, processes, and toolbox for your practitioners to practice responsible AI on a daily basis. And that means your designers should think about it, your data scientists should think about it, your compliance legal team should think about it as well. So, of course, we as Microsoft, together with Solita, we are more than happy to support you on many of those topics, from building platform, to practicing responsible AI, or establishing process change management for you, or working with you on training your, practitioners and decision makers across the organization. Okay, so today I have shared two trends when it comes to AI-enhanced productivity and foundation models becoming the innovation platform. And I have talked about three considerations: people, platform, process. Hopefully, you are taking away some useful information from this session. Hopefully, some inspirations and insights from me. Let me emphasize, the opportunity is really yours. AI is becoming more powerful and more accessible than ever, but it's up to you and your organization to put AI into practice to create tangible business and societal impact. I look forward to seeing what you can achieve with AI. And let's go out there, put AI into practice, and create good benefits for us as human beings. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this, and a wonderful shout to the forefather of all assistance tools, Clippy.
Yes.
Rest in peace, Clippy. We love you, now and forever. Before I get started with interrogating our speaker, I do have a question for you, dear audience member. Yes, you. So, do you feel worried that AI will go from automating simple manual tasks to performing more important functions typically reserved for humans? You can answer yes, you can answer no, and if you don't feel comfortable saying anything or giving a strong opinion, you can say maybe. That's fine too. Now, my question for you is, so you talked about foundation models and how they really are the basis for all of these modern applications that we use every day and not even necessarily realize, like things in LinkedIn or Word or helping you correct your language, voice-assisted AI, all these. How representative do you feel that these foundation models are of the global population?
That's a very valid question. So, as we know, just to overly simplify, foundation models like, GPT models, they are trained on a snapshot of the internet. And internet, as we know, is rich of great information, but at the same time, it's also biased because the content on the internet are quite often generated in English, for example, right? So we don't have so much Finnish language or Norwegian language on the internet. At the same time, the more developed countries, they absolutely generate more content when it comes to text, images, videos, etc., because they have more access to laptops and mobile devices, etc. So that means there are intrinsic bias on the internet, and that becomes the bias in the training data for large foundation models, right? So we have to acknowledge that. But then, of course, knowing the boundaries and limitations of foundation models would help us to use them properly, right? It's like using any tool. Nothing is perfect. When you understand, what you can use them for, what you cannot, right? And at the same time, I really think we as an industry need to improve that as well. So going forward in the future, we need to find more efficient ways of training foundation model, and we should also be thinking about how we can curate data set so that they can become less biased and more fair for and to better represent the population that we have on this planet.
We have plentiful of questions from our audience. Thank you so much. Let's start with a straightforward question. Is it safe to let AI summarize meeting minutes?
Absolutely, but then depending on which AI you're referring to, right? So I would advise against using ChatGPT or Bing Chat, to summarize your internal meetings, because there are internal sensitive information and you don't want to leak that in the public services. But I highly encourage you to explore services like Azure OpenAI and to build an internal chatbot or internal enterprise ChatGPT. Then you can safely and confidently talk about business topics, within your organization. So I think, privacy, security, that's top of mind when you're adopting AI.
Another question that we hear often is, do you think it's possible to scale the use of these large foundation models with billions of parameters, like you told us, in an energy efficient manner? What are your thoughts?
That's a very, very good point. So of course, right now, if you think about the training process of large foundation models, it is expensive. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of people, expertise as well. But that's the whole point, because we train foundation models so they become the foundational platform for you to build your solutions on top. And that means you as a developer, as an organization, no longer need to train your own model, your own large models. So we do this once and for all, and then you can build your solutions on top, and that's going to be more efficient. But at the same time, of course, we are, as an industry, committed, but also as Microsoft, committed in making large models more effective and more productive. In fact, in Microsoft, we have been contributing to several big open source projects, including DeepSpeed, where we're looking into how you can optimize the training process and also deployment and inferencing of large models so they're more energy efficient and they're more scalable as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Also, a bit of a more general question. Looking at there will be new jobs created. Prompt engineer is something that didn't really exist 6 months ago. But there's also different estimations on job losses. So what are your thoughts? And again, we understand that the speed is just so crazy. But what about our question is on creative writers, illustrators, coders. What is their future in their current jobs? And what are the fundamental limitations of the foundation models when compared to human minds? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I think my personal opinion is that foundation models, they bring a lot of knowledge, they bring a lot of information, and they bring a lot of common sense understanding into the discussion or into the business process you are applying that. But at the same time, we as humans, we are truly creative, we are truly intelligent. And we bring strategic thinking into the picture. So I think we as humans by using AI which can relieve us from the more basic and more repetitive tasks, we can focusing on solving actual problems which are more challenging. If you think about the developer, right, do they really enjoy writing lines of code after one another? Not necessarily. They want to solve difficult problems, and the simple code can be actually assisted by by AI. And also, same goes for documentation. I don't know a developer who actually loves writing that. So now that can be taken care of by AI, right? So I think with AI systems, we can actually focusing on where we as humans can shine. And for me, that's problem-solving skills for complex problems, creative thinking, but also strategic thinking.
And I also want to serve. I'm really happy that we have so many questions from the audience.
Yeah.
Really great.
But you mentioned learning and development. This is a company-wide effort.
Absolutely.
So a very brief answer to the question: how to identify and maximize the value of people in companies?
Maximize. I think for me, a top of mind is to retain your people, to make them happy. That's the first thing. And the second thing is to make them productive. I think with AI systems, you can do both. Actually, there's a study done by GitHub, on the internet. You can find it. So with solutions like GitHub Copilot, developers are not only more productive, they're also more satisfied at work, and that's what matters.
Excellent. Let's go to Paul.
Yes, thank you all for responding to the poll questions. Right now, we have an interesting selection of answers. So 20% answered yes, 47% answered no, and there were 32% of people who didn't have a strong opinion. I see you.
Now we know where we are.
Now we know where we stand. That's very good. Thank you.
At this point, Xiaopeng, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's move on.
Yes.
It's our next speaker.
Yes, welcoming our next speaker with the topic, Low Code is not just for apps. Efficient integration development with the help of low code at Messe Düsseldorf, Danny Brünker, lead architect in digital transformation. Thank you.
So good morning and welcome also from my side. First of all, I have to say I still know Clippy, so I'm in the age of that time. So and I would like to talk about the topic low code, and that low code can help the organization during the journey of digital transformation. My name is Danny Brünker. I am responsible for enterprise architecture management at Messe Düsseldorf, and I would like to give you first an overview about the company. So, we are a fair trade company doing B2B fair trades, a lot of them market leading all around the world, mainly in our own assets at Messe Düsseldorf. And to give you a short impression what Messe life feels like, I would like to show you a short video, a highlight video from the last year. Here we go. So you may have recognized that there are some people wearing masks at the video, and at the end of the video there was also the German health minister. So that is a flashback to, let's say, the Corona pandemic. So we were really suffering in that time, 2 years without any business, and we are absolutely happy that now business is coming back. We have a great restart in last year, and also that picture shows that a lot of people have high interest to visit our events. And this picture is also symbolic for another problem of, let's say, the bottleneck. You see here a lot of people try to enter here the counter, and there is an everlasting problem in the digital transformation. Often I call it idea to solution transformation. So we have a lot of input, ideas, demands, requirements from the business, and we would like to bring them on the road to provide solutions to partners and customers. But we are mostly hindered somehow by capacity topics or efficiency, knowledge, and availability. And there were a lot of topics in the last 10, 15 years to overcome with the problem. For example, cloud architectures, agility, CI/CD, and so on. But there's one approach which is very promising, and I would like to focus on that approach. And that is the topic about low code, no code, and what's behind, and how this can help us. So let's talk about low code, no code. I would like first to try to define low code, no code by looking on the purpose we would like to achieve, and that is mainly that we would like to build business services apps very fast, cheap, and accurate. And especially by not experienced people. That is the idea behind. A no code is nearly the same, but even more improved. And that is what we are looking for. And if you are looking on Google Trends, so the last nearly 20 years, there are some interesting insights. So first of all, last 6 years, this topic is highly trending. So we get a lot of attention here. But there's also a peak if you look on the start of the graph already in 2004. So this topic is at least 20 years old. And yes, I personally convinced that the idea of simplicity and easy implementation is already older than 20 years. I think it's like computer science itself at the same age. Maybe that is also something Google Trends is one of the last presentations where this is relevant in the upcoming area. However, looking back in the past, not in the future, there was in the mid-90s already a kind of low-code platform. that looks a bit strange. That is a main screen of a PC game I've developed by my own 30 years ago, using a low-code platform. Yeah, because I have also no experience with programming languages, with the concepts behind, and I was able to step in very easily with a low-code platform in the 90s. The low-code platform itself was also from Microsoft. Yes, yeah, right. QBasic was the name, and there were a lot of concepts already implemented, what we understand under the name low-code, no-code. However, if you look on that screen, you have something different in mind if you think about low-code, no-code, looking not on an editor or IDE. So you are looking more on the visual logic or the visual language to implement low-code and no-code. So there's a kind of evolution in the last 30, 40, 50 years. First of all, we have the low-level languages with all the machine stuff and assembly and so on. Then we have the big range of mid-level languages and high-level languages, which are still dominating the developers' world. And here we also have a lot of efficiency gain because they're using a lot of abstracting frameworks, for example. But the next step is the step of visual languages and logical languages, which is open to a much bigger audience than, let's say, the core group of developers. Yeah, and that is the way where low-code, no-code evolves. Looking back on the target we would like to achieve, being fast, cheap, and accurate, that are also the three angles or corners of the triangle of quality. Every project manager, every product owner knows that problem. Yeah, that you have those three corners, and you can only have fixed two of them for the price of the third one. Yeah, it's a kind of mathematical equation, like a rubber band. You cannot fix all the three at once. And that is a issue, and the local platform provider said, okay, we can do it fast, cheap, and we can do it accurate also. Yeah, so they try to give an answer on that problem, and I personally think there is a big step done forward for that, but we have really look on what means accurate and special. And I would like to use another picture for that. So, like humans, also software products, platforms have skills. So human soft skills, you know that intelligence, communication skills, empathy are the soft skills, and the hard skills are all the stuff you learn in school, for example. But also platforms have skills, and platforms, for example, as a low-code platform, have the skill to be very, have a simple implementation, be very intuitive, having really the low-code ability as soft skill. And the hard skill is then really the use case you would like to cover with your low-code platform, because not every low-code platform is useful for every use case. And there's a kind of T-shaped skill set. You know that mainly also from HR domains. So you can have someone who can all a bit, and you can have some specialists, some professionals. And also here the platforms have some focus areas, use case areas, and you have to be careful if you choose which platform for which kind of use case. Yes, and having this picture in mind and looking now on, let's say, on the ocean or on the sea of low-code, no-code, you see a lot of vessels, a lot of ships running around with nice platforms, all working well. Big providers, big vendors, and you cannot really find the right one. So therefore, you have really to look on the use case, like I said, and therefore you can imagine you have a world with different areas in the ocean and the seas, and you have different areas where low-code, no-code makes sense to establish or to implement. And there are a lot of ships and vessels running around in different areas like process automation or workflow building, mobile app building, modernizing of legacy apps, for example, and a lot of other topics. But there's one big area in the Northern Pacific, so the most undiscovered place at the end, where there's nearly no ship, no low-code ship at all. That was the impression when we started that journey. And I think integration is a cornerstone regarding digital transformation, and therefore it was a bit surprising that this is the situation. Looking on our Sea of Integration at Messe Düsseldorf, and I think that is not only valid for Messe Düsseldorf, the integration, the sea is also have a lot of reefs and shoals and depths, and we have a big challenge to connect all the dots together, to exchange data between the services and systems. And to make it even more clearer, two KPIs or two figures which make it clear what the problem is. So we can say 90% of our requirements coming in impact somehow integration. New interface, new integration, changed one, however. So that's a very big number. And 50%, a second figure, of your capacity are eaten by integration development. So that is really annoying for the business because they don't see really the benefit of integration. They're looking on the feature of their service side, and therefore you have to spend a lot of effort to build integrations, proper integrations. And that problem will get even more worse. So even you manage to consolidate your old infrastructure, to have nice integration patterns, pops up and message brokers and so on. You will not be successful without thinking about how to make more efficient integration building. And therefore, you need to be prepared and looking again on our bottleneck. So integration is one of the core bottleneck in our idea to transformation, idea to solution transformation. So we have to find now a low-code ship, or a vessel for especially that special use case. And this use case is very sophisticated. And we going that situation that we said, okay, we first would like to have a clear cloud platform, an iPaaS solution with all the advantages of cloud platform, which is important for us also to be more efficient and not dependent on internal knowledge. Then the second most important criteria was then really the low-code skills, so the soft skills of the platform. And the third one are then the hard skills, really the use case means the hard integration skills, which are quite challenging. And however, they are, let's say, only the third criteria. That was our path through the journey, looking for an iPaaS. Then also important that the platform is kind of unified, so homogeneous, not having different platforms under the roof of one, and you don't have to feel that it's one platform. That was also important for us. And then the low-code skills and the hard skills, the integration skills. We decided for a platform which do that already some years. SnapLogic is the name, so that's only a high-level architecture on that. Like I said, the iPaaS architecture, and we are using that mainly with a Groundplex, means on our own premises as the nodes, but we connect cloud services with our own hosted services. So how does it look like? How SnapLogic, for example, has built low-code skills? And that is I think, quite interesting, because integration, you can condense at the end on some basic steps. You have always a kind of sender or someone who is providing data. So we need something to read data. Then you need something to write data somewhere, and then something in between, which is here parse, modify, it means transform, read, route the control structures, and formatting. And you can really cover 95% of all integrations with that 6 simple modules. For sure, there's a lot of complexity behind. And there's a lot of things to do, also configuring and making accessible the systems. But building a pipeline with that 6 components or modules is easily possible. And looking what we've done before, or how was the approach before, and how is it now with that usage of the low-code platform. So before, we've got an often in demand a requirement which impacts somehow a system. And then there was an integration somehow touched, and then in worst case, you have 3 people working on that integration. So one on the partner system A, one on the partner system B, and one in the middle. And then they have their own code base and no transparency at all. And then we have an interface somehow working, but really not with that efficiency we would like to gain. And now we are going to do that in a different way. We have a clear governance. To have clear contracts also on the integration side. And then, let's say, only one person, a designer, I would say, not a developer, more or less a designer or integrator, is then building this kind of low-code pipeline integration, which is much more efficient, besides all the transparency and the other gainings. Yes, some figures. I would like to highlight especially the last one, the efficiency gain. So I am really estimating very conservative. So we said after 1 year, we can really say at least we are 2 times faster than before. Even we are still on the learning curve. That we can already say. And I mean the complete implementation phase, including assignment, alignment, and deployment, and so on. And we see clear the potential that this is also possible for factor of 4, for example. And so there's a very big efficiency gain looking on that. Looking on the end, we can really say our integration journey have done a really successful step. We have found a platform where we are able really to widen that bottleneck somehow. Still, there are a lot of things to do in future, but that is a big cornerstone now to go ahead, and we are absolutely fine with that approach. And we are looking forward to questions and later to the panel discussion. And thank you very much for your attention so far.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Danny. I especially loved the illustrations. Now, before I start grilling you with questions, I'm going to grill the audience. So, as you know by now, I have a poll question for you. Would you personally prefer low code over traditional development methods where you would spend more time fine-tuning and would take a bit more time? You could have your own kind of, your own finger in the pot. You can answer yes, you can answer no, and if you would like a nice amalgamation of the two, you can say both, and I won't judge you. So, Danny, can you give a few examples of projects you've been able to support with low code and how, as an architect, you've been able to prevent chaos when presenting low code solutions to business users and projects?
Yes, let's say our flagship project is the switch from SAP ERP to SAP S/4HANA, so as a core ERP system for our system. And we are supporting that greatly with that integration platform. This is still ongoing, and that was really also a high efficiency gain for that project. So that is one main topic. Another topic is that we are now able to provide partner and customer APIs more efficiently, directly accessing to the system of records like CRM and ERP. That is something what is now easily possible. Before it was a problem, because we have developed a lot of middleware in between. And the third part is more my favorite, because as an architect, we are able really also to export metadata from the platform itself about integrations to a documentation tool to see which integrations we have built somehow to connect which systems. So we gain a lot of transparency with that, using the platform as a data source, but also as an integrator.
That's super important. Yeah, that's very great.
Again, we have questions from the audience. What kind of foundation should be in place so that it's worth starting to make low-code, no-code solutions at large without further complicating the company's solutions? I think that this is one question. And how to ensure the maintenance and further development of low-code, no-code solutions when people move on to other tasks? There's also a somewhat similar problem to old-school Excel solutions. What are your thoughts, Danny?
I would first answer the second question, because it's easier.
You're the speaker, you can do whatever you want.
Call, yeah.
Okay, I think the idea of no-code is that you can easily step in. So that the way to learn low-code, no-code on a special model, like for example, the integration platform or other platforms, should also include that it's easy to step in within hours or days, because it should be logical language at the end. So therefore, I see really that is a clear target of a low-code platform that to step in is quite easily. Therefore, I think that is something what easily can achieve more easily than traditional developing. So coming back to the first question. Okay, okay. Yes. We are a comparable small company. We have a small IT department, nearly 30 people, working with a lot of partners for sure. but our enterprise IT is also very complex. And you have really to be careful to conquer domain by domain with that approach. You cannot go with that approach with complete enterprise IT and say, now we have low code and we can do now everything. Never. So we have really looked on a special use case, which is have a lot of beneficial for us, but you also have another areas where we use low-code or low-code solutions for building apps, business apps, for example. And you have really to step-by-step go forward. And coming back to the very first question, the governance is very important. For sure, we are a small company, so we need more. We have more lean governance, so it works perfectly in our case. But in other companies, I'm absolutely convinced you need more governance and balancing out the freedom of development and let's say the direction all people have to go.
What you mentioned on low-code tools, that it can take days or even hours when you get started. I think this is similar what we heard from our previous speaker on starting to utilize tools on Azure, on ChatGPT. But my question is, now that new people who have no coding background are able to start utilizing those, but what are your thoughts? Who are the people who benefit the most from low-code solutions?
Yes. So at the end, I'm convinced that everyone has a logical mindset, and a kind of logical mindset. And if you bring a logical mindset with you, you understand how something should happen, in which order, then normally it's the best case to use low-code or no-code, mainly no-code. But for sure, what I would like to thinking about, the people don't need now the years of investing a lot of syntax learning of special languages. That is absolutely important. So they can really step in from A to B and not think about that, because that is, I think, distracting a lot of people to go in. There's this saying 10 years you need to master something, and that maybe is a bit too much, but I think you can now really easily step from A to B doing that stuff.
One question coming from the audience: where is the difference for in your use case between a middleware and your low-code approach?
At the end, that is a middleware behind. It is translated into middleware, but you don't manage it. Yep. So it's about how to give instructions or the input based on a logical language at the end. And that is then, let's say, translated to that. So the middleware is something what maybe could be a bit more flexible, that's clear, because you have the complete power to do so. But that is a kind of trade-off then, that you say, okay, we lose a bit flexibility, maybe 2%, but we are now able to give that open to complete audience.
Excellent. Let's look at our poll question.
Yes, we have now received your answers, and I am not surprised. So nice 48% of you, almost half of you said yes, and no was 18%, and both 33%. And I think that's okay, and I commend you for your bravery.
At this point, Danny, thank you.
Thank you too.
Next, we're going to look, what does the cooperation between a human and a machine look like now and in the future? I'm welcoming Antti Kleemola, CIO and Executive Board Member, Finnair, and Marko Taipale, Design Lead, Solita. Welcome.
Okay, hi there. We're going to have a bit of conversation with Antti regarding the topic. But before we go to the conversation part, I'm going to give a bit of definition of automation for our conversation. So to define the automation, it's a use of technology in terms of task or processes with very minimum intervention from human beings. It may involve a wide range of technologies, ranging from robotics, AI, software tools, and whatnot. But for our conversation, we're actually more focused on the human aspect and how the collaboration between human and machines will happen. We're going to discuss mainly on two themes. One is the role of automation in terms of leadership, and decision making. And the second one is value of automation, how it's perceived. So let's start with the role of automation. What do you think is the key benefits for instance, for Finnair? What's the key benefit of having the automation in there?
Yeah, there are multiple ones. If we start with kind of the traditional ones that you have, the cost efficiencies, how you make sure that you are able to do things faster, getting the things faster to the market. Then the second part could be that you are having your revenue sources increased, which are actually both in our strategy. So the kind of the whole strategy of Finnair is based on automation at the moment. So we are looking into revenue gains and the cost gains. But then the kind of the big thing for us from the AI and automation is really that you actually are able to do things in a much bigger scale than you would be with just using humans, so to speak, or just using standard or normal ways of computing. So what we have in our operations is that basically the decision on which plane to run, which plane to delay, is done by AI. So we are analyzing the whole network all the time, 24/7, 365 days, and all the time trying to figure out if something happens, if there's a delay. It used to be so that the humans made the decision based on basically how many passengers were aboard, because that was the easy one calculated figure. But now actually how it's done is that because we are a network airline, we are running planes in the different locations at the same time, all in the air, some in the ground, and trying to make the most optimal flight plan for the rest of the day. As an example, previously we would have been saying that the most important flight in the morning is the one from Helsinki to Shanghai, but actually it's from Oulu to Helsinki. Because the flight from Oulu to Helsinki, if that lands in time, it will be able to go to Rome, pick up the Italians to get on the plane to go to Japan, which are the most kind of valuable customers from the company value perspective.
No, that's impressive actually when you describe it like with the actual really practical use case. What do you think? What are the types of decisions that humans are good at and then the machines are good at?
Yeah, it's especially first of all the kind of the mass calculation when you have multiple different variables in the kind of network, that data network environment that you need to be able to take into consideration hundreds of parameters basically. It's something that you need to leave for the machines. The machines is always able to figure out the kind of the best possible outcome or outcomes. And there comes the kind of the last thing, that the final outcome of those potential 5 different outcomes, that should be left to humans to decide that which one of these 5 we will then be selecting, because there could be something completely out of the kind of the mathematics and out of the kind of the data that is not telling. So it could be ethical reason, there could be some other brand-related reason. We need to be able to serve this because of that, and these kind of final decision should be led to humans. The other areas where we kind of see our side that where you really need to kind of have the boundaries between the machine and the human is that whenever the kind of the cause effect of that is something in the more and more future and more kind of long lasting, then it should be also done by the humans or done by the kind of the decision made by the human brain, so to speak.
Okay. I think the distinction is kind of clear at the same time, and I think it gets challenged all the time. Like if you think about the future and what it brings, I think this interaction is getting more and more complicated.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, and we can now see kind of. I guess that everybody in the audience and also I guess everybody at Finnair has been playing around with ChatGPT and figuring out new ways of doing things and been amazed by the fact that you have a simple UI that actually allows you to test things out, which previously kind of it was. We discussed this previously, a bit like an alchemy, and now it starts to be a bit like it's just, in a sense, just a tool. Like Jinping was saying, the co-pilot is going to come in, so it's going to be your partner in doing everything.
Obviously, there's a fear of change.
Yeah.
And it is on the individual level, and it's maybe corporate function level, and so forth. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's really important topic, and I think that the whole thing of adapting AI is more about change management. It's actually technology is there. It's everybody can take it into use. It's actually cheap to take it into use. It's cheap to trial, cheap to test. but it's all about change management. How do you make sure that you make these kind of long-lasting changes in your processes, in the way how the organization runs, and also the culture, that we actually embrace the data, we embrace the data-made decisions, and we embrace the kind of having the AI as our co-pilot in flying the planes, in a sense. So that's the kind of the really the important part of it. So how do we enable the kind of the whole organization and the whole culture to adopt AI basically in everything we do?
How would you reflect that on the individual level? How people will embrace that change? What have you done, for instance, in your context?
Yeah, it's a really good point, and of course it's a personal. It's always depends on the individual, or always depending on the individual tasks and the kind of way what you actually are doing. But how we have approached it is basically that we have a kind of in a systematic way now with the kind of the use of AI. We are basically having on an existing strategy program. We have actually given the one team to have an option to use the AI. And first they kind of thought that, okay, bit of kind of scare how that actually means, but then it was kind of also embraced by the teams to see the first demos. I mean, that's the thing, that when you see something and you actually understand that, okay, this thing that we thought that there might be actually is somewhere in the future, actually is now today here. And then at the same time, you actually realize that, hey, my role changed. I need to change my role. I'm no longer doing this part of the process, and I have a complete different ability to do stuff because of the ability to basically do more, and ability to do in a kind of better interactions with the AI, and also frees time from kind of every day running different tasks into actually making new processes, new development, and complete new business cases as well.
That is actually very much aligned to my own experience, that change requires, on the individual level, it requires that you get a new experience that will actually kind of make your understanding, or make you understand better what this actually means. And what you described is kind of, you are actually kind of systematically involving or getting people to get these new experiences. Yes. And by doing that, the fear kind of diminishes, at least.
Yeah. Fear goes away. And then it's also then the fact that by testing only, you actually are able to find if something works or it doesn't work. And through that, of course, you need to be able to make the decision that, okay, now we go back. This was too far. Some of you might even recognize this from the yellow press in Finland, that we in some areas might have gone a bit too far. So it's also then kind of considering that where we actually take decisions based on the kind of, again, the brand ethics and all of these things that you actually, at least so far, you can't teach the machine to have, but maybe that's also coming. So now looking at GPT-4, it can do amazing stuff already. So it could be also something that those discussions and those decisions are then something that at least could assist to kind of, please consider this and this and this, but then you made the decision.
Yeah. Let's move to the value of automation. We already discussed the benefits, so maybe I would go like from the risk point of view. How do you de-risk, or how do you deal with the challenges that automation?
Yeah, if we start kind of in a sense, airlines is an interesting spectrum, that we basically have our own everyday AI within the planes already. So it's the real co-pilot. Shipping has their own co-pilot. We have the real co-pilot. So that's already, in a sense, that the automation that runs the planes and also lands the planes is something that we've been having that for many decades already. Now it's getting improved. It's getting better. In some areas, actually, it removes the human risk of things. So also the automation can go so far that actually in some cases it's much better to rely on the automation than on the humans. And in some cases it's the other way around. So it's always constantly, you need to balance that how do you run these things. And yeah, and then overall the risk management side, you are able to, with the use of external data, with use of AI on top of external data, you actually can find new risks that you wouldn't see internally, and you wouldn't be able to analyze it. one area for us, as the brand is so critical, we are doing the social media analysis to understand that if something is now popping up, because we are doing a lot of changes now at Finnair. So we need to understand that if this change actually, how is what proceed, what's the real perception behind the kind of our own PowerPoints and our own testing. But when you go to the real environment, the actual customer feedback then comes from multiple sources.
Yeah, I think you're kind of describing the fact that world is complex and we can't kind of foresee all the possible outcomes, and we kind of need to be kind of reactive in it and thinking about where do we get that information faster, as you mentioned, like in the social media. It might be something that you haven't even thought of in the beginning.
Yes.
How about when we talk about actual the value? There's always like the question that, okay, what's the value of automation?
Yeah.
How do you go about answering that question? Because I think that's probably a question that you get quite a bit.
Yeah, question all the time. So it's of course when you need to kind of value the investment. There are multiple different ways how do you value the AI and use of AI. Of course, there's the kind of direct financial benefits that you have, whether it's scaling up the teams that you have working with you. You're able to have a quicker time to market. You are able to understand and process bigger amount of data, and through that make a better decision. And that's then the hard part to kind of justify that. How you would you without actually trying. So it's a bit of in some cases a bit of a leap of faith to go forward, but then you need to have this kind of agile approach to it, that you actually test, you try, and then you get there to understand whether the value is there or not. So it's more about safely trying and figuring out the value than kind of first making a huge business case and then understanding, okay, maybe we had the complete wrong assumptions, and those assumptions can kind of divert you in the complete wrong direction.
I think that challenges in a way the leadership, that the predictability part of it, that everybody wants the predictability. Yes. At the same time, we are facing the fact that, well, nobody kind of knows.
Yeah.
How do you see the kind of connecting the value and role questions? That what's the role of leadership then? Like how do you enable even having that conversation?
And it always, when it comes to leadership, it always starts from the leader itself. And in an organization, it needs to start from the board and from the CEO, that they also understand the value and they can start talking about the value and kind of putting that value, in a sense, top down. But at the same time, it needs to be bottom up from the people that are doing their everyday tasks, that they realize that, hey, by having our assistant here to do these parts of tasks actually allows me to innovate, allows me to spend less time on this kind of non-productive tasks, allows me to be more productive for the whole company, and allows me to be more precise on my work that I'm doing. So it's kind of multiple dimensions from the individual perspective. And in the end, the individual kind of the top-down encouragement and the bottom-up really understanding of what the process is, what we actually are trying to achieve. When those kind of match, then we are in a good position. Our own example about this is that we actually now working with our disruption management. So disruption is a case where the airplane is delayed for a technical fault or something, and we need to accommodate all the passengers to hotels and do everything and figure out the next flights, where to go and what's all going on. And that's a really personal experience for the customer. So we want to be also kind of providing that personal experience to the customer, that the customers need to understand that, okay, we are taking care of with their preferences, and with their kind of choices, that how would they like to be treated, whether it's the kind of getting to a hotel or then staying for 4 hours at the airport and then leaving during the night and then kind of hassle on the other end of the trip, in a sense.
How do you see then the impact of automation in because you are kind of describing the value of it, and also we were discussing about the risk and specific use cases. But if you take a kind of step back and think about what's the impact of automation to Finnair, how do you see that?
Yeah, for us it's really in the core of everything that we do, and it's really a good kind of I would say that it's the next level competitive advantage to the others. So that's the reason also why we want to be the first ones to move in this space as fast as possible. And we've been already working on these topics previously. So it's bringing out the value to our operations, it's bringing the value to our customers for better customer experience, and it's then bringing the kind of the employee experience as well to get rid of the kind of the cumbersome tasks and provide that to the automation to really do. And it's all of these combined will then kind of be the in a sense the future Finnair way of working. So what we are now looking is these kind of end-to-end processes that where the actual automation will help, not on a single step, but as the whole way for the whole process, that how we will change it.
Okay. And what's your role in it?
Yeah, it's been now a bit of a kind of a executive board champion in a sense that it is our sponsor. So that's one role there. It's also been great that, for example, I'm now in the disruption management case. I'm there to kind of to challenge the team in a sense. I'm there to kind of ask the really, really stupid questions because I'm not an airline person. So I still can. I've been down 10 months in the company, so still can ask the really, really stupid questions. Maybe not in the coming months, but still can. So it's also about this why are we doing these steps that actually they're completely the other way. So kind of and we'd use a better data, we'd use a better AI and automation on top of it. Do we actually need that task at all? Can we just skip it and provide for example, our customers the ability to make their self-service selection without kind of anyone thinking in the background that, hi, what would be the preference the customer wants? But the customer knows what she or he wants. Let's give the voice to the customer. But we need to provide the options, and there the automation and AI will help us.
How would you describe the use of automation in your work? What does it mean for you?
Yeah, for my personal work, I'm still hoping to get the co-pilot, so the PowerPoints are gone. So that's the kind of big cheer for that. So that's of course the kind of the dream come true. But nowadays it's more about using the external data to help on the decision making. So I think that's a great value because previously you didn't have time, you couldn't analyze something that happens around you. You were fully focused on what happens inside. So actually now you can look externally and understand from external that what that actually means for us and what are the possibilities that would bring. So I think that's for me has been the biggest changer in a sense.
How do you feel about it? Is it humbling in a way because you get kind of new perspectives that you haven't?
Yeah, it is. It is humbling, and it's also sometimes you can feel a bit little in a sense that holy. Yeah,
I get that too.
What are you going to do next? So that's of course something that, and also coming back to the kind of the role of a CIO, what's that going to be in the future? Do we need this kind of role? I don't think that in a really long term you don't, because you should be learning that the skills need to be learned by all the guys within the company, and also with the help of automation and with the help of low code, that will be a kind of much long-hanging fruit. It's not yet that low, but it will be a long it will be on the reach of everybody in the company.
Yeah, you're kind of describing it very. At the same time, we are talking about corporate level and individual level, and it's challenging all of us.
Yes,
it's kind of that's what I'm getting from you.
Yeah.
So kind of going to the closing already. You kind of mentioned already the future in a way. So how do you see the interaction happen in the future? What's the human and machine interaction in the future?
Yeah, I think that first thing is that it will be the assistant. So they're kind of assisting you in you doing all your tasks. So that's the kind of the first way of doing it. And then at some point it starts to be also providing new insights and new experiences from externally. And then in the end, it's basically going to be a marriage of the AI and the human in almost every role, and you need to be able to find the balance. Like in a real relationship and a marriage anyway, you need to find the balance, and you need to be able to really also have challenging times there with an AI. That's for sure going to happen, and you might even argue with an AI. But the good thing, at least so far, is that there's only one winner in that game so far. So let's see how the future will bring.
Yeah, that marriage point actually touched me in a way that, because I'm a mediator in marriage conflicts actually as a hobbyist, and I
that's
think
an interesting hobby.
Yeah, so it's going to be mediator of AI and humans.
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay. Well, thanks for having this chat. It was really kind of eye-opening and interesting at the same time.
Thank you, Marko.
thank you very much for this conversation. Now, before you, well, you know the drill by now. Before we start with the questioning, I have a question for you. Yes, you. So, based on this conversation that we just had and what you've heard, and basically the whole morning here, would you say that you would rather have more or less AI-supported decision-making in your own work? You can say more, you can say less, and this time I'm going to judge you if you say I don't know, because that means that you just don't know. Thank you. Take your time with that. Meanwhile, I really appreciate the sort of common theme that you had throughout your conversation about how it's really not about the AI, it's not about the automation kind of taking over and doing all the heavy lifting and just it being all about that. It's more like creating more space for people and more space for people to have time for people, and just a combination of this top-down and bottom-up approach to really take into consideration all the viewpoints. Antti, how do you as an organization encourage this culture of collaboration and communication between automation and human decision-making?
Yeah, at the moment, it's really been so that, like I said, we had the kind of the strategy execution where we are then supporting the different teams that are building the actual strategy capabilities with an AI and with the kind of use of external data as well to help them to kind of figure out the new path, how to do things. And it's also the kind of the lifting up open demos within the company that you actually have this open culture in a sense that you provide the new ideas and you share the ideas within the company. So that's clearly one thing. And it's more about try it out, but don't try it with the inside data. so try it out, but still be careful. So that's basically the main themes.
Safety first.
Yeah.
And at the same time, moving forward with the tools that you have, just to try it out, test it, learn more.
Yes.
Again, we have great questions from our audience. I'm sometimes hesitant because we're looking at the job losses, but let's go. This is a question you answered, you wanted us to ask. So, do you personally believe that automation will cause job losses on the IT professions in the upcoming years? What are your thoughts on this?
My personal thoughts are that the kind of instant reaction is no. It will actually, if you look whatever has happened in the kind of industrial development and everything in the history, the humans have been given more ability to have free time or more ability to do more. We have always selected do more. So I would say that it's going to be, at least in the beginning, still the same thing, that you actually enhance the clock speed, you enhance the kind of capabilities to achieve more. So no, there won't be less job at least in the beginning. Then the bigger part will be at some point that if AI takes the role of the kind of the little tasks and first tasks, so we don't train people to do those little tasks and first tasks. So how do we kind of jump that junior phase then over? Mm-hmm. You know, that's going to be that thing. And yeah.
Again, learning and development are like pondering upon how to do that. I actually want to put on my devil's advocate hat, and I go back to Danny's presentation, where he mentioned that in 3 years, the possible efficiency gains of utilizing low code might be 4x. Not 4%, not 40%, but 4x to existing. This is a real question from me. If we have professionals who are doing 4x, is there demand for that, or what are we going to do?
It's a great question, because if you look now, something that was supposed to be 4x is 5G.
Yeah.
How many use cases do we have for 5G? Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting thing, that what will the kind of if we have the more ability to do stuff and in a more faster way, how do you actually then utilize that?
My Instagram cat videos are much faster.
Yeah.
No, that's again, yeah. A question from the audience. How do you see the automation affecting the top-level management? For example, could the role of CIO be replaced by AI and an assistant to AI? And I want to be now your helper. If this is for Finnish audience, we do have legislation that, for example, CEO has certain responsibilities, and currently it has to be a person made out of flesh and bones. Yeah. So it can be, but again, let's look at broader. You already mentioned CIOs. What are your thoughts on the boardroom?
Yeah, it's a really valid point, and I have had a chat with a person who is actually using AI as a board work already. Yep. So it's already happening. So again, it starts at least now that you have the external view, because especially for a board member, you don't have the insights of the company. You only have the insights what the kind of the management brings you. So when you are then bringing in the external view of the company, and you can bring that with the help of AI to every single decision-making point that you have, even live at the meeting. So that will change how the board interaction will go, and the board members are then they kind of better equipped to challenge the leaders.
And there, I think it was a great question on an assistant. As we're looking, I'm also in a few boards, and what we're doing is we're prompting, like, let's say you have a top-tier management consulting report, 18 pages.
Yep.
And the worst way is to put it on your board WhatsApp group, only the link.
Yeah.
The second best is, this is really interesting. Like, okay, thank you. But then when you're able to have, to summarize it, I'm the CIO.
Yeah.
I'm the chief marketing officer, or whatever is your role, whatever you're doing in the board, in the management team, that you get a personalized summary of the report, and you're able to have the discussion points from there. I think that is a great tool.
Yes.
And that impacts all knowledge workers or alike. There was one question still, again, this is for you, because if we look at the cabin crew at Finnair, we're absolutely going to, this is my view to the future, we're going to see humans. We're in planes, and then there are so different roles. So what's your tip of the day for people in the audience who are thinking, how are we going to move forward? Like there's such many different roles in the company.
Yeah, of course, it depends again from your own daily task already. So start what you already have now and build from there that how you can use AI to assist yourself to be better in that particular role. And at the same time, learn from external data and use of external views to become better at your own job at the moment. And then build from there, because you could, for example, go to a completely different direction, and that's creating you a completely new career.
Excellent. Let's look at the results.
You have submitted your answers for the poll, and I'm quite delighted, I will say. So more said 85%, 5% said less, and only 8% said I don't know. So there's only 8% of you that I have to find.
They're listening to you.
Yeah, good.
I want to say at this point, thank you. And for the audience, we're going to now have a break for 10 minutes, but you can stay with us if you want. We have some goodies for you during the pause. If you have to go, be back in 10 minutes. We have a very interesting panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, Jan. How are you?
Good, thanks.
What you doing?
I'm marrying AI and human.
Oh, because the marriage between... I see it, I get it. Ta-da! The marriage between AI and humans.
Yep.
Nice.
And now we're going to the discussion. What are you actually doing?
I've been sitting here listening to the presentations and going through actually using tools that anyone can use today easily. So I've been using ChatGPT.
Perfect. ChatGPT, open tool.
Yes.
For anyone to use. I'm going to actually be making sure that even our non-technical people who chose to stay with us during the break, that we're going to stay in topics that everybody can understand.
Yep.
But you're using ChatGPT. Okay.
All right. So basically what I have here is a subscription to the OpenAI service called ChatGPT. And it's available online at chat.openai.com. Anybody can try it out. With the paid subscription, you get access to the better model called GPT-4. And what I've done is I've taught GPT-4 to be my coach to use the Midjourney, which is the other tool that you've probably heard about that generates images based on textual prompts.
So now you're the illustrator for our event, and you have two artificial intelligences.
IntelliGI?
IntelliGI, thank you.
Something like that.
And now
English.
you're using those together. Okay, excellent.
Yeah. And so what I've done is I've taken GPT-4 and told it that I want it to generate prompts for me.
Okay.
And how I do this is I take this text block that basically tells GPT-4 that I want you to generate text blocks for me based on my descriptions.
Okay, that's a fairly lengthy.
It is.
Yeah.
We only have 10 minutes, so let's not go through that.
And I'm not going to read it through.
Yeah, but this will be given out in the materials afterwards. So
perfect.
if you're interested, you can try this out. So what this basically does is it asks me for a concept, and it turns it into three different prompts that I can then feed into Midjourney. So I'm going to now keep working on this same concept here.
And again, this is a prompt for ChatGPT. This is your ask, your what you want ChatGPT to do. And then it creates a prompt that you're going to feed to Midjourney.
Yes.
And then the outcome is a picture, an image.
Correct.
Excellent.
And you're able to tweak the parameters of the prompt to sort of navigate the type of image that you want to get back.
So if I want a watercolor drawing, I'm going to tell it to make it in the style of watercolor and so on. And basically, because it's difficult for a non-creative person, well, kind of, to describe stuff. So I ask it to do it for me. And I'm just going to copy some code here that it gave me. So I'm going to write here the code that it gave me. And it says now, an artistic representation of an AI and human character getting married in a futuristic setting. And I'm going to add to this still in the style of, I like Van Gogh. Oil as oil on canvas, like so. And now comes the fun part, because we have no idea what comes out. So this is the part where you do the traditional iterate and improve. So you test what works, and then you see what doesn't work. While we were doing the presentations,
show us something you done.
Yeah, we've done some stuff here. So
can we have it larger, just to make sure that our audience sees it?
Yeah, we'll do like this. So we had the hosts introduce themselves, and then the show. So the AI apparently doesn't really understand that we don't have everybody here, but you're all here now.
Yes.
So that works.
Melissa,
like
do we enjoy that we're able to be in the studio, not in front of everybody? Which way?
You know what? I kind of like a nice audience, and I can see that they're here with us in spirit. That's just the spirit of the wonderful audience at home.
Perfect. Exactly.
Everyone in the jammies.
Yeah, and then we were talking about Clippy, and then I instructed the AI to describe Clippy in today's terms. So Clippy now doesn't look like a clip anymore. Clippy's evolved quite a bit. Then we talked a bit about the foundation models, AI structures, energy requirements, and so on. And so I drew up.
We got a classic futuristic data center.
Yes.
Yeah.
With red lights.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Looks like a spaceship.
Yeah. And then we have the futuristic city with that has all their energy requirements well in hand. Then we had low-code, bottlenecks, and customizable software stuff. And here we have the low-code C.
That's the continuation to Danny's theme.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Excellent.
And then we had a little bit about the use cases. So as you can see, it's an interesting part where you try to tell a diffusion model to write text.
This one I'm going to read out loud. Merinkirbar stolst geloises, refes skattergens skeles.
Beautiful.
Yes, it's AI.
Okay.
Clearly. And then we had a collaboration between AI and human.
Okay.
We were talking about this.
This is tacky. When it's collaboration between human and AI,
we
have white robots.
Yes.
But for some reason, it didn't recognize the white robot hand touching the human hand.
No, didn't try to do that one.
Have you seen iRobot? It looks like that.
Yeah.
It looks like that.
Yeah.
It does. You can see a lot of the training bias behind the models. You see a lot of white robots and so on. But when you keep working on it, you get something different. So here is, for example, when I went for the marriage of AI and human, we got quite different results then. So
beautiful.
Yeah. But it's still AI is a white robot very, very, very often. And blue lights.
Yeah.
Blue lights is also good. Let's see what we got to. So let's go back to Midjourney.
Oh, wow.
And here's our results right now. So there was the Van Gogh, and it was the oil on canvas. So the style is quite different now.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I'm going to blow these up a bit.
I'm not an art person per se, but I have chance to visit the Van Gogh Museum, and like just seeing those, you immediately recognize.
Yeah. You recognize the style.
It's really funny that even given the sort of futuristic setting, and there's a robot in kind of a robot suit, and there's still a bride like in white, that it still retains these traditional aspects.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
And this is quite clear also when people talk a lot about AI infringing on copyrights and so on. It's quite clear because you get very close to the teaching material.
Yeah.
But it's not avant-garde. It's not. And even when we talk about there being like a signature down in the corner, it's actually just the AI being taught that there is usually this kind of scribbles here at the bottom. So it also puts some scribbles down there. It's not an actual copy of somebody else's scribble.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it works.
That's super cool.
Now you've been testing it today. What are your lessons learned?
Lessons learned from this. You have to learn to describe stuff to AI in order to circumvent its bias and to steer it towards what you want. So I work a lot with code generation through AI and image generation and text generation and so on. And there's a lot of, you have to unlearn stuff that you think you know. So you have a lot of assumptions based on, if I say this is what I mean. But then you feed it to an AI and out comes something completely different. Yeah. So you need to always remember to check it and so on. And then you need to tweak it again and see like, no, sorry, I meant in this style. And actually GPT-4 is funny that way because once it goes down the wrong path and then you say, oh, sorry, I meant this. And then it says, oh, sorry, I misunderstood. And then it writes it out again. So it's very
polite.
Yes, very polite.
Yeah, I have a friend who is a developer has been for 10, 15 years. And I was wondering, he uses like, please write, you're being very polite.
Too.
His answer was, I'm thinking of our coming robot overlords.
I know, right?
I want to be
nice to them. You give what you get what you give.
Note, please keep the following in mind. Creating. Please respond with yes if you understand.
Hey, if I bump into like a lamppost, I still say, oh, sorry. So it's just.
I, for one, welcome our new robot overlords.
Please, I'm a friend, not foe.
To finalize our session here. Now, if we have viewers who joined us for during the pause now to listen to this, and maybe they start to use ChatGPT now, they register, they pay for the plus for a month. How to start? What are your 2 tips to start with? Just maybe not image creation, but just using ChatGPT.
Go to either ChatGPT or another one and ask it, how do I get started?
Yet again, way,
it gets recursive.
It's the new. Just Google it. Just ChatGPT it.
Yeah.
I have to tell a friend of mine who went to use the Azure OpenAI API.
Yeah.
And he said he never watched a single Microsoft video. He was just asking GPT-4 what he wants to do.
Yes.
And how to do it on Azure. So it's your assistant.
Yeah. You got code blocks and everything.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
We're heading back to our panel.
Thank you.
Thank you. And welcome back. It is time to move forward with our program. We have gathered all our speakers here, right next to us, and now we're going to have a panel discussion. And the kind of overarching theme of the panel discussion is about what the new future created by automation looks like. And you're still welcome to submit questions in the chat, and if we have time, we will be taking them and asking all of our speakers in turn. So, to get started, my first question for you is, do you feel that the mindset towards AI solutions has shifted in your respective environments with the sudden growth in user-facing AI, cough, cough, ChatGPT, cough, cough?
Maybe, obviously, Xiaopeng, we had a short discussion on this, so...
Yeah, I can get started. So I think it definitely massive change in the environment that I've been operating. I've been working, with the AI for the past 6-7 years now. And, if I look at the past 3 months, we have seen more product announcements, than the past 3 years combined. It's just crazy. And from an adoption perspective, I see two things. One thing is that now more and more solutions, AI solutions, are moving from the experimentation environment into the production environment. So I think that's the first thing I'm seeing. So now we're seeing more companies, adopting AI at scale. And that matters because now in production environment, they actually create value, back to the business, and that matters a lot. And the second is that, with the rapid development around generative AI and foundation models, now organizations realize, hey, this thing is, going fast, and I probably need to do something about it, especially the top management, without necessarily understanding all the technical details, but now they have a sense of urgency. So I think AI adoption is transitioning from, a good to have into a must have. So that's the two main observations I have.
I'd just like to put it in very kind of, how did I see that, like from non-technical people's perspective? My wife is a teacher in primary school, and they had crisis meeting in the school during the Christmas because of the adoption. Because they saw that, students start using these tools to create papers, obviously.
Yeah.
And suddenly they were in the disruption, at that moment, discussing, okay, how can we deal with this? So it wasn't not a thing like some techies are doing. It's a thing that
it all happened so suddenly that no one really had time to prepare.
Or it was sudden for them.
Yeah.
My wife was asking myself, you are working on this stuff?
You did this.
but again, and I've been a substitute teacher. My background is in educational psychology. I feel for these people, but still think that they are having a crisis meeting, that their students are using modern tools. That this is a code red. It's the conversation was biased or kind of having to kind of polarize. There was the fear kind of saying that, hey, they shouldn't, let's limit and restrict. And then there was also voices saying that, hey, we need to adapt. And there's no guidance from the government saying that, hey, this is how you adapt. They do it locally, right there, right then.
Yeah.
Can I just share one additional reflection? Because I think, we probably had, a similar reaction or cycle, when, internet search was introduced, right? Because suddenly you have this access to the massive knowledge base, and you as a student or as a teacher no longer need to remember all the information because now you have instant access on your phone or on your laptop. Yeah. So they probably did another crisis meeting back then, and then they learned how they can actually put that into use. And just in general, I think now as we're entering a new chapter of AI, we're going to see a cycle of emotional roller coaster, if you like. First, everyone would be super excited. This is amazing. This is magic.
Yes.
And then people start to think, what does this mean to me? Will I lose my job? And then people would be like, we also start to see some, misused, AI or, undesired results. So they start to become concerned or even fearful. And then later, as we as an industry become more proficient in our collective understanding of what's the limitation and possibility, we become more informedly confident about AI. I think that's the cycle we're going through right now again.
Yes, maybe also some thoughts from my side. So I personally think that we also have to consider that we are still living in a kind of, let's say, bubble for part of the society, because there's a lot of parts of society which don't have any feeling what comes to us now. Yeah? So I think we are kind of vanguard somehow. Yeah, even you more in the technical companies. Yeah? But there are still a lot of people who have not really a feeling what's behind. Yeah, and I think that takes still some years. Yeah. And like the Google CIO, sorry, said it's like the discovery of fire. Yeah? I think it's even more impact because fire was not at once everywhere, yeah? Because here that is now really overwhelming somehow, and it will take maybe some 1, 2, or 3 years until really all they are aware of what it means really. Yeah? So that's my personal opinion.
This is such an interesting question. I'll just have a quick round. Please keep it short. But Danny, you said it's going to take few years. What if we're going to see once we get, for example, in our office tools, we get a Microsoft Copilot. Yeah. We get a helper in all those, everything what you do, if your value creation is done partially or wholly with a keyboard, your job is going to change. So my question to you is, are we going to see that certain individuals, teams, and companies are going to take huge leaps. Is it going to happen already this year? What are your thoughts? Just briefly, I would like to hear it from everybody.
Yeah, if you think it that maybe not on the company scale level, it could be that it's individual role or individual team level. I would say that definitely there's going to be, or that we already now see that there's going to be changes into it. Exactly, content creation, having an automated internet marketing. So you have all the data available, you have everything that you can actually produce a marketing campaign. So that automation is like happening like exponentially.
So as we just had the election, yes, this year, yes. Okay.
Yes, this year it already affects my work. Like I've saved like hundreds of hours already. So obviously, which means that I create more value to the customers as a consultant, of course.
Yeah.
I think not this year because I think for startups and small companies have a competitor advantage for that. But let's say that the big part, I'm quite convinced that it will take a bit time more. Yeah.
Excellent.
I think it's happening now already, but then of course it's happening, at a smaller scale. But then I think later this year we probably would start to see massive scale of implementations. So just quickly, I think one thing is that organizations like Finnair, will be adopting large intelligent applications like Copilot to increase your employee productivity.
Yes.
But then smaller organizations, startups or developers, they will be building a new wave of innovative applications on top of the foundation models. And they're going to build that in a matter of weeks because they don't need to build training models, they can build on top of the foundation models in the cloud.
And this is the reason why I ask is I work also with a lot of sales teams in different companies. And what I'm seeing is that individual contributors, a salesperson, if they are taking these tools into use, they can make such a leap compared to their peers who have the same tools, roughly the same clients. And again, if they start to feed data to their CRM, they're going to get a lot better answers from the assistants. So this is really interesting.
Yeah. It is, and I know that a lot of people can have sort of concerns, very valid concerns when it comes to the rise of these, this assistance. So my question for you is, speaking on behalf of developers, what do you say to the ever-present question of will developers be replaced by AI, automation, or low code?
The short election version or the
in between.
in between. So definitely no. So I would say that we will use the productivity increase and the kind of the assistance that the AI will bring to bring more scale. We have plenty of things to be done and a lot of things that need to be improved. We are not half there yet with the kind of the whole digitization of everything. So yeah, it will increase rather than decrease.
Yeah, plus from the conversation that you just had, it's very clear that it's a very people-first approach. Yes. Yeah.
I think there will be like stages. Of course, it's hard to tell, but kind of that first we are just using it as an assistant, and then it becomes, I'm thinking like in development team, that you have a member which is AI. You just ask that, hey, Marko, create this, create that, make a prototype of this, and so forth. So it is a kind of team member, but in a certain kind of servant position. And then of course, the question then comes that, okay, what then? I mean, there's also like the discussion that, okay, why are we asking ChatGPT to create code? We're asking it to create code because we are humans and we need the code. Machines don't need the code. They just need the binary. So, and that's a scary idea, but at the same time, it's like, okay, it actually gives me as a developer kind of higher level abstraction problems to solve, which I think that we all should be doing anyhow. Mm.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of evolution for a developer. Yeah? So, like the meteor in the Jurassic time when it crushes the Earth and the dinosaurs were terminated somehow. Yeah, so they have to find a way now to adapt to the environment. Yeah, and that sometimes is not possible over years. Sometimes you have to do it really rapidly. Yeah, and that is something a lot of developers have to think about where they can really focus on in future. But there still will be someone needed at the end who is managing the basic, somehow. Yeah, even this is a small part of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the midterm, this is going to be an evolution of the modern development stack. So a decade ago, when you build a software, everyone starts from scratch. You write lines of code, thousands of them. And in the past years, you start to use APIs. They're like building blocks, right? And now we have large foundation models. There are new building blocks for developers, right? So it makes their job even easier. So I think that's more the evolution of what developers do or focus on. And the second thing, on the more short term, I actually think every developer is going to have an intern working with them, right? Think about the AI assistant as an intern, as a junior developer who can help you with some simple task, but need guidance, right? So on one hand, you train them, you guide them, you supervise them, but on the other hand, they would take over some of the more basic tasks. So you can focus on solving more challenging problems.
Well, for now, it still can't get coffee.
Maybe soon in the future with robotics involved,
But honestly, this assistant, like when I talk with developers, it is that you have an assistant on the clock whenever you're doing your work. So the flexibility of work has changed. Instead of if I was struggling with a code, I don't want to call Melissa in the middle of the night like, hey, I'm struggling with this, and then. No. My point is, it is actually helping you in your prompt, like we just saw from Jon in creating the image. You have ready set prompts, so you can. Your assistant already knows your stack, what you're working with, what are you aiming at, and so the flexibility that these AI assistants bring is just vast. We have a question, maybe a follow-up to this. What can be done to reduce the paranoia amongst tech people and people in general about AI? And I would like to now go also in not just tech, but people in general. There are a lot of fears. Like one of the main newspapers in Finland a few years ago, they wrote a pretty nice piece about AI, but they had the Terminator. Don't use the Terminator. We're not there. But what are your thoughts on reducing the paranoia, getting real in companies that what AI actually brings?
Can I just quickly share one thing? Because I think we need to, do less or stop hyping AI. Yeah. And when I say hyping AI, I'm talking about two things. So, because now we see in the market, there are a bunch of people, some of the influencers hyping AI as if they are magic, as if applications like ChatGPT, services like OpenAI is going to change everything forever. No, they're not, right? I mean, they're powerful, but they're limited, and you can use them for certain use cases, but not everything. But there are also actually people hyping for the opposite side. They say, oh, this is the doomsday, and this is going to destroy everything, and everyone is gonna lose all their jobs and everything. That's not gonna happen either. So, there are risks and constraints that we should understand and we should be working to improve. But at this stage, AI is not a Terminator, AI is not a killer robot, and AI is not gonna take over everyone's job. So it's important for us to have a reasonable understanding and make educated, decisions, but also, publicize educated opinions about AI. So let's not hype on either ends, let's be in the middle.
Yeah, I totally agree. And to that, I just have to say, I feel like you mentioned the sort of sense of urgency when it comes to AI and adopting the development. And it could be that people experience like a very mild case of mass hysteria that I really, really quickly just need to get in on the game so I'm not like left behind. And therefore they just try to AI for the win, woo, so that they are still like in the train and stay relevant.
I think like when I'm taking a look at this, we had a conversation about marriage, and I said that I'm a mediator in marriage conflicts, and there's hard, difficult discussions. And the guidance there is actually just, you need to kind of raise the fact that there's an issue. There's a fear, there's a paranoia. Let's talk about it. I think even having that question right now and having that talk is actually helping to deal with that paranoia. Yeah.
But I try to make me aware always that 99% of all what was explored in the history was for a good purpose, at the end, And you can talk about Terminator, you can talk about WALL-E or R2-D2. It's a different opposite. So there's a lot of good chances about that. So for sure, you always be afraid about something, a scenario, but there are mostly more opportunities for a good usage of the technologies.
And obviously, we do recognize that as we're having this discussion, you have chosen to spend your morning with us we're preaching to the choir, but most probably. And at the same time, these are the discussions that people who are working with AI solutions, maybe posting some of their code to GitHub, maybe sharing their thoughts or experiments on social media. We get these questions a lot. So it's important to have also the broader discussion, the reality where we are at.
And have it as an open discussion to show that it is okay to talk about these things and it is okay to voice your concerns, and they're definitely not alone with these concerns, that everyone shares these on some level, because it is all happening rather quickly. Not as if this is new, but it's just kind of spreading more right now. Cough, cough, chat GPT, cough, cough once again. So I understand that. It's just a conversation that we're going to have over and over again.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be open conversation. I mean, it needs to be something that we create the space to have this discussion, like you said, and it's something that it's not going to be a hidden project X somewhere, but needs to be kind of embraced by the whole company and by the whole organization and embed into the culture.
I'm still waiting for the first company to actually bring a plastic 800-pound gorilla to the room that has a name tag AI.
You know, that would be the ideal colleague. I don't know about you. But my next question for the panel, thank you. With the rise of low-code and automation, it can appear that people have fewer decisions to make. They get more help, they get more suggestions. With all this help and with all this sort of simplification that is introduced in their lives, do you think it will affect the creative processes in work? Do you think it will leave more or less space for innovation if you have fewer problems to solve?
I think we have bigger problems to solve. And just because I'm, for instance, helping like Kela to innovate new solutions based on AI, I'm using AI to help me to innovate new ideas, because to explore something that I haven't explored, kind of widen my perspective. At the same time, I'm probably more familiar with the constraints of the system, being the human system that AI ever will be, or well, someday maybe. So I've experienced that it helps, because it helps both like ideating stuff, but also like digging deeper, like what are the uncertainties for each idea to become true. And there it helps me to widen my perspective. But as I said, I think that we are just dealing with harder problems, like for instance, like in Kela or organization, we are thinking about young mental health issues. It's a bigger problem, and no a person or machine will solve it alone. So,
absolutely.
I agree. I also would put another point. So, creativity is something magical word. Yeah. So, how we define creativity. So, for example, if I see a painting from an unknown artist, or read the lyrics, or hear classical music, I cannot judge if this was done by a real person or AI. So that is, from my perspective, not creativity alone. Yeah? So I understood creativity as really combining different areas or topics from different areas in an unconventional way. Yeah? And I think that is a big way still for AI to go, yeah, even if you could reach it or not. Yeah? And there was, I think there was in the 90s, I don't know if you have looked 90s series, there was a guy who called MacGyver, I don't know. Yeah. So that is a best practice, so that is unconventional, yeah? And that's something that will not happen in the next time. That's my personal perspective.
Yeah, and how I see it is that the amount of innovation actually will increase because you have more time to do the innovation, and actually you are also able to simulate things more, which then kind of gives you more access to more data, more simulation, and again more innovation, more creativity with the help of the AI, not kind of fighting against the AI, which one is more creative, but together be more creative.
And this is what you mentioned, that you cannot recognize a classical piece if it was written by. I often do in the workshops that we do with management teams, we start, if people haven't used ChatGPT, we start with a text that not too many of us write on a daily basis. That is a love letter. And my question always is that because sometimes they're excellent, they're creative, and my question is that if you would get a love letter, would you be sad because it was written on a computer, or AI wrote it? Because what's the other option? You had to take a goose and take the feather and then catch an octopus and take the ink, and like you catch my drift. The point is
that is exactly what I want. Put in the work.
Exactly, but the end product, we don't know. And today what we're using, if you're writing text already now, Microsoft Word is helping you. PowerPoint is helping you. If you're using different tools for Grammarly, Ulysses, all these tools are there. So our text, hopefully many people use tools that are available already now. It is not what came out of my keyboard. So this is a really interesting point. Who really is making the output we're doing right now, even on individual level?
Yeah, there was this funny cartoon now drifting in the internet saying that there was this someone writing a small sentence or small prompt so that the ChatGPT created a great presentation, a big summary out of it, a big kind of piece out of it, and then send it via email to another person who then used ChatGPT to summarize the same big text in the small item. So actually, just by sending the
AI to AI communication.
Yeah, if you put like Siri and Alexa to like talk with each other, or like, you know, they just, it's an endless conversation. Anyway, so moving on to the next question, and as we're running out of time, it's going to be my final question. Now, Solita's slogan is impact that lasts. So this is obviously a shameless plug right here. So, you know, this is our theme, impact that lasts. What is the first thing to come to mind when you think about a long-lasting impact in your particular work or life?
I can answer that not on a technical level, so from not on a work life, but I see there's no technology and no AI which has so much impact than, for example, my kids, yeah, on my personal life. And that's a positive impact, and I think that will not be beaten by any other topic.
Next.
I already mentioned the young mental health issue, and just taking something that is at the same time something very kind of remarkable and personal, at the same time something that couldn't or nobody could have done. So with the help of data, we tried to identify preliminary cases, so people who were not yet treated, and we actually we found people who were not earlier identified, and like thousands of them.
Wow.
So yeah, that kind of makes you humble.
Yeah, very meaningful.
Yeah, for me, it's been more about the kind of use of external data, ability to make better decisions. I think that's something that will be long-lasting and has been now already there. So you're actually able to find the external views, find the customer views better, and improve the product that you actually are doing with the help of external data and an AI on top of it. And that's something that we are embracing heavily.
Yeah, I think, you know, just talking personally, the impact would be that I will become more productive at work. At the same time, I would be happier at work. And the same probably will go for developers, knowledge workers, and many other professionals. So that's something I'm looking forward to. So we actually can, you know, not only have productivity gain, but also well-being gain by adopting AI. Just like how we enjoy having a laundry machine or, you know, vacuum robot at home, which, you know, allow us to spend time with our loved ones. Yep.
And this is exactly what we're looking at. How can you be at your work more productive, more efficient, more human, have those human-to-human interactions, and then also being able to be happier in your life?
Yeah, exactly. Just to add one thing, because, you know, with AI taking care of many of the mundane, repetitive tasks, now we actually get to spend more time with humans. Yes. And that's the human connection that we need more.
Yep. Excellent.
What a full circle moment.
It is. At this point, Solita Summit, our excellent speakers of today, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It has been fantastic. I personally have learned loads, and we've had the most amazing people here talking with us.
Great discussions, great questions and comments from the participants. Thank you so much. It's something that we truly co-create.
Absolutely. This was for you, by you. And for that reason, we would still like you to answer a little more questions. You'll be getting a survey on your screen or sent to your email And we would love for you to send us in your feedback, because we do this for you, and none of this would be possible without you. So without further ado,
Thank you.
thank you.